McKay, you're reporting. What brought this marriage about?
Well, I mean, you know, they met in 2010, Chris Christie and Mark Zuckerberg, when Zuckerberg donated $100 million to Newark school system. And they've kind of worked together on education reform since then. And that's kind of the issue that brought them together. But it's interesting, the Facebook spokesperson that I talked to said that Mark doesn't just support his efforts on education reform, he supports them on a broad array of issues, which is really interesting, especially since you said a lot of people believe that Silicon Valley and the tech world is very liberal, right?
Right. It's interesting. And I believe they met at that big media mogul conference in Sun Valley. I think I recall that. All right. Joe, you know Mark Zuckerberg. You also know politics. Were you surprised at all when you heard this? I mean, I've seen those two men together. They clearly get along, although they are very, very different in appearance and certainly how they dress and everything else. But you know what?
Sure.
Sometimes it is opposites who attract.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I think, you know, we here in D.C. approach politics from a professional and partisan way. I think Mark approaches politics in a personal way. You know, it's interesting. The way Mark got into education reform and New Jersey and Newark and specifically was at a Sun Valley conference when he met Mayor Cory Booker. And that conversation rolled into conversations with Governor Christie and a $100 million commitment to helping reform the education system there. So I don't think Mark looks at it the way a lot of people in D.C. do. This is someone who he has hosted at Facebook. This is someone who I think hosted a dinner for previously, you know, a social dinner. He believes that they share a commitment to education reform, and he's willing to support them.
All right, but McKay, this is, though, a shift. I mean, let's look at the 2012 presidential election. I gave the example of Google, because this is important with the Democrats, and, you know, it seems like the Republicans are in complete and utter disarray.
Right.
The Democratic Party is becoming incredibly powerful, and they certainly thought that they could count on Silicon Valley.
Sure.
Nate Silver of the New York Times, you know, added up all the contributions. $2.7 million went to Obama. $554,000 went to Mitt Romney. Okay, it's not even 83% of the money went to Barack Obama. Mark Zuckerberg coming out in favor of Chris Christie, who is going to be a candidate in 2016 for the Republican Party, seems to me to be a rather significant event, tipping point.
Yeah, no, it could matter a lot. And it's not just money, actually. The Bay Area, Silicon Valley, host to, you know, all these great tech companies. Obama won that area by 49 points in 2012. Chris Christie making inroads in that community is huge. There's a lot of cash there, but there's also a tech talent gap that Republicans have suffered from. The campaigns, when they're staffing up, they don't have access all the time to a lot of the most talented tech people because they're all so liberal. But if Chris Christie can, you know, use his relationship with Mark Zuckerberg to kind of ingratiate himself with those people, it could matter.
Hey,
going
look,
forward.
he needs the Obama apps to get to people.
Exactly.
Joe, let me ask you. This had to be a tough one for you. You worked for Bill Clinton. You know Hillary Clinton well. You know now you know you worked with Mark Zuckerberg. So Christie versus Hillary. What's your take on who might be better in 2016?
Well, I obviously think that Hillary is. I mean, I think if you look at just the politics of this, you know, Chris Christie is a conservative Republican in the state of New Jersey. It's, you know, that's a tough road for a state that's fairly progressive, and so it's no, you know, it's his campaign plan will be to be moderate, but you know, I think he's very conservative, much closer to the Tea Party than the real, you know, traditional Republicans. The one thing I come back to though is, you know, we can, and I think we are probably making too much of this. This is not Silicon Valley endorsing a republic. This is based on a personal relationship. It's probably the best of politics, someone who believes in someone else, not the partisanship that we see now. You know, Silicon Valley will remain, I think, progressive and democratic. It's one of the most progressive areas in the country. I think the numbers play that out that you just. So I don't think Democrats have a problem. I think Chris Christie and Mark Zuckerberg just have a great relationship, and Mark is demonstrating that.
Yeah, it may.